Yep, salvage auction got us again. We're back on the other channel, and somewhere in this mess of cars behind me, there's a 6-figure Mopar that's about to be auctioned off, and it's not what you think it is. So naturally, I did what any reasonable person would do. Took a road trip so we can check it out in person and see if it's worth buying. Now, being that we got a lot, and I do mean a lot, of ground to cover to hunt this thing down, I feel like it's the prudent decision, if you will, to take a second and check out some of the other cars that are about to hit the auction block. Starting with this smoked C7 Z06. There is not much that makes you recognize this as a C7 when you're walking past the front of it, except that little hood vent. That's the one thing that caught your eye, and maybe the red brake caliper as well. The wheel itself is cooked, though it does seem like it held up well enough to protect that brake caliper, so that's something. Most of this front passenger fender is gone, though it looks like most of the important stuff behind it, like the ECU, the dry sump oil tank, that's all in one piece, and that's actually quite big deal. On the rear, man, this thing got it front and back. The rear bumper is actually in the hatch. I don't see the tail lights. The rear tub, that's smoked. It's in like 10 different pieces at this point. That little cooler's broken. It does look like the lower stuff, the exhaust, that survived, that's not moved around. And while the exhaust in and of itself really isn't that big of a deal, on these, the transmission and the differential, they're also in the back. So if the exhaust and all that other down low stuff didn't take damage, it at least bodes well for the rear half of the drivetrain too. The rear quarter panel got smoked as well, which, funny note, the C6, the older Corvette Z06 rear quarter panels are now more expensive than the C7s. Let's see what we got going on inside. Blown driver's airbag. I do think that's about it. It's an automatic. Yeah, otherwise the interior looks pretty decent. It's really just that blown airbag. Now we're gonna have to be real gentle about this because you can already tell this hood is not attached to anything. It's basically just sitting on the engine bay. The engine, it's in the right place. C7 Z06s, they have aluminum frame rails, so they do, well, they just break. So they're not the easiest cars to rebuild when they've been hit this hard. That, along with all the rear damage and the passenger front suspension damage, means for me at least, this is a parts car. So we're gonna look at it through that lens. And in that case, it really starts to not look so bad. I mean, yeah, the belt's thrown, but there's nothing that's really been pushed into the engine, and that's our biggest concern on something like this. The back of the blower lid's perfectly in line with that wiper cowl, which is at least a decent indication that the drivetrain itself is perfectly straight. You don't have to worry about a cracked or broken torque tube. That, along with the fact that it's not wrecked up under the rear of the car, makes me feel pretty confident that if we win this thing in auction, we're gonna get a good drivetrain out of it. There's basically no scenario these days in which a C7 Z06 sells for anything under 20 grand at auction, unless it's completely burnt out, gutted, stolen, stripped, or something like that. So if you want one, you're gonna have to pay up for it. And if you manage to get one that doesn't have a good drivetrain, they're quite easy to take a major L on. This one, though, I really do think presents a good opportunity. There's nothing that came in contact with the engine on either side of it. The frame rails, at least back there where they still exist, they're in the right place. It's solid. It really is solid. And it's wrecked hard enough where it's going to scare anybody away who wants an easy fix. So it should be in kind of the perfect price range for a parts car. I think if this thing stays under 25 grand, it's going to be a real solid investment on the parts front. Got a little new Supra over here. Let's see what we're working with. Obviously missing the rear bumper. The insurance is taking the time to mark it up. That's always a good sign. That means it shouldn't be too hard to fix. They went through all that trouble. It's not an obvious total. Ooh, inside is jam-packed with some of it's old stuff that's wrapped up. But yeah, there's some parts in the packaging. So maybe this is one of those ones they like started to fix, but then they found more damage and totaled it. She looks real stock-like under here. Oh, the hood was kind of loose when I lifted it up. It's actually not bolted in place. It's just threaded and sitting there. So we are gently, I mean gently, gonna put that down. Now, kind of just like we interpreted from those insurance markings on the rear, this thing's really not hit that hard. It almost looks like there's no like structural damage. It just seems like there might have been a lot of body damage. The bumper, the fender, or I don't even know if we can call this a fender. This panel, this little squarish panel that goes there, the side skirts, they're missing, though they could be in the car. Same deal over here. Wow, it's actually a really clean car. It almost just looks disassembled rather than wrecked. I wonder, again, if they started fixing it, if some of the stuff on the car might not be new. If it's not, it's really low mileage because it's all really clean. Well, If you ever wanted yourself a really easy repair Mark V Supra, that's the one. IAAI.com. Go check it out. Oh, we got a Dark Horse, a new Mustang. These are getting a lot more common to see at auction, but I personally haven't seen that many. And this one, it's a little tweaked on the front end, a little. I guess we'll start with the important part and try to see how bad this frame rail is. You can see the driver's one's over a good bit, and by that token, this one's over a good bit too. The whole front suede. It's not grossly out of place, so I'm sure somewhere back there would be a good point where you can section in a new bit of rail. They do have the hood safety wire down, and being that I'm not personally interested in taking on a new Mustang project now, we're not gonna bother the guys to have them cut that off or anything. Plus, we were able to see the auction pictures. It's stock, there's really not much to see under there. You got these big Brembo brake calipers. They are significantly bigger than the last generation's GT. The passenger side, that looks good. Same deal with the rear. It is really, really tight back here. Beautiful shape. On the driver's side, this fender's pushed back a good bit. It got the door, but that's just paint damage. You will need to replace the fender. One thing that they did on these that's really cool is they put Brembos in the back too. It sounds like standard procedure, and you know, for brands like Mopar and Chevy, it is. But on the last generation GTs and even the performance pack versions, they only put the big brakes up front and had these little tiny floating calipers in the rear. Thought it was kind of a miss by them. These Recaros, they're sick. The whole dash has been redesigned. This is actually my first time being inside or even looking in the interior of one of these new Dark Horses. The steering wheel, it's got blue stitching. They got that big screen up there. Now, outside of the frame, I think the biggest deal on this car is this oil cooler. It's busted up at the bottom. You see the mounts ripped off. But I really don't have any oil feeling anywhere. There's a little bit of water, it's been raining. Now, the most important part of this are these lines here. I see a lot of damage here, but nothing that says it isn't still functional, technically. This one is not a straightforward fix it in an afternoon type wreck, but it's a solid rebuild candidate. And once you get it right, you're gonna have a real nice car because the rest of it looks great. Honorary mention, right? Looks like that 6-inch pipe we tried to use for a Supra exhaust fell over on it. For as few as these GT3 RSs that were made, we're starting to see them real often at the salvage auction. This is like the third or fourth one we've been to in a row that's had a new GT3 RS. Now, this one's a lot better than the last one, don't get me wrong. It looks like just this front driver corner got impacted. The wheels smoked, obviously. If you ever wondered what magnesium looks like when it breaks, well, something like that. I bet that carbon ceramic brake rotor got it too, especially given that the wheel's up against it there. No, it's no visible damage on it, so it's got a chance. The headlight, that's missing. This fender, it's there, but it is hanging on by a literal thread. This corner of the bumper, that's gone, but none of that in the grand scheme of things is too big of a deal. Granted, it's very expensive, but hey, it's a $400,000 car. What we're really worried about is the frame and the tub. And all that, at least from what we can see, looks pretty good. Like, really good, actually. It seems like the suspension took the brunt of it. Now, what I would be worried about is potential damage to that strut tower back there, being that these are already prone to issues like that. Up behind the wheel, you can see the skirt is bent up. Ooh, that might be a part of the reason why they totaled it. This side skirt rocker area, that's not a side skirt covering, that's the actual sheet metal, and insurance may consider that structural part of the frame. It's really hard to get a look behind the wheel. But this, I think, is the best clue we found as to why it got totaled. But either way, it's really not all that hard to fix. That's not that much different than what we had to fix under the rocker panel of the GT4 we just rebuilt. I bet if we go back and do a little research, we can probably find some type of information about this wreck. Let's see, we got a broken windshield as well, probably from one of the airbags blowing, maybe? Maybe not. Either way, driver's curtains blown, driver airbag, driver knee. Inside, it's got the carbon buckets, of course. Cool spec. Blue seat belts to match the blue magnesium wheels. A lot of carbon fiber. Beautiful car. Beautiful. But then again, which one of these isn't? The whole rear end's in phenomenal shape. This giant active wing. Man, look at that. The whole passenger side of the car is actually in really nice shape. Is it going to be cheap to do? Absolutely not. Could you find something that makes this a whole lot less appealing than it looks right now? Yep, but I really do think this is a solid rebuild candidate, and it's not one of those that's going to turn into a 6-month long nightmare, at least hopefully. But yeah, I probably did just jinx whoever buys this. You know what? Now it's all finally starting to make sense. Might have took me coming down to Carolina to figure it out. Well, this is that Carolina squat they're always talking about.
Developing this morning, a bill making it illegal to perform the Carolina squat.
Yep, that's about right. Now, on a serious note, this thing got quite the love tap in the rear. Yeah, over here on the passenger side. The funny part is from the rear, it really doesn't look like it was that bad of a hit. It's really only once you see what it did to the frame of this thing that it really sets in. The top of the bed, almost 3 finger widths. Down there, not even 2, which again, doesn't sound like it's that big of a difference, but when you look at this truck from far away, it's clearly sagging badly in the rear. Now, I haven't personally tackled a truck frame repair to this extent. I don't know if the right call would be to just replace the entire frame or try to bend the rear half of it back. I'm actually gonna kind of defer to you guys on that because I would like to try a new truck project here at some point. Let's see what we got going on the inside. Man, it's clean. That's either detailed it up at the auction here or maybe the old owner just took really good care of it. Actually, the entire truck, it looks real nice. The paint's beautiful. This is one of the rare TRXs we're gonna see that hasn't been stolen. It seems like every one we find at auction is just a theft vehicle. Ooh, check that out. A cool aftermarket intake. Otherwise though, it does look pretty stock. Nothing wrong with that. I do have to imagine that a rear end wreck truck like this is still 10 times easier to fix than the stuff up front. Plus, all the really expensive important stuff, that survived. So even if you had to replace the entire rear end, you could maybe even find one of these that was in a real bad front end wreck and just piece the 2 trucks together and be left with one nice one. Yeah, beautiful truck. And I know it doesn't quite look as nice as those ones we're seeing out in LA, the stolen ones that just need a quick wash and they'd be as good as new type trucks. But this one, being that it's actually damaged, presents us some opportunity. Plus, something about a black TRX just looks a little extra tough. Just like these Brunts, baby. Now, it's no secret, I'm not a boot guy. They're heavy, they're stiff, they take forever to break in, but these Brunts are everything your regular boots aren't. Straight out of the box, they felt broken in. Cushion footbed, real support, and I'm not dragging my feet around like I'm wearing anchors. Plus, they look awesome too, and we're not gonna pretend like that's not pretty important as well. For those of us on our feet all day, whether it be in the garage, the salvage yard, or this abomination, the oil slip and heat resistant soles make a world of difference. The leather's tough enough where you don't have to baby them, but even after putting them through it, they still look and feel like new. And just as importantly, they're honestly priced for what you're getting. Plus, Brunt even lets you try them on the job. Seriously, find a juke, kick it. If you don't love them, send them back. So use my code ScrapLife10 for 10 bucks off your first pair. Even made it real easy for you with that QR code right there. And hey, if they turn me into a boot guy, maybe they can do the same for you. God, that feels good. Mopar doing Mopar things. And no, this isn't the one I was talking about in the intro. Wow, yep, she got stripped. I guess when they recovered it, they found some parts with it. Maybe they busted another shop just like they did with the Demon 170, because that core support's obviously not from this car. Yeah, another Scat Pack bites the dust. And got this one good too. Really not much here. You can just spot this orange from way across the lot, so we had to at least come check it out. I know I do try to present a use case for a lot of just random junk we see at the auction. There's really not much to do with that one, right? Maybe I'm wrong though. If any of you guys see use for it, let me know in the comments. I guess it really wouldn't be a salvage auction walkthrough unless we find at least one newer Challenger that got stolen, yet still looks minty fresh. This one's a 2021 Scat Pack. Ooh, red interior, so good. So good. It's the same deal with basically all these things these days. This one though just doesn't look like it even got ragged out. It just looks like a clean car. Oh, catch can on it. Otherwise looks stock. I got a flat rear passenger tire. There's the damage. We've gone over cars just like this at pretty much every auction walkthrough we do. It's really no different than going to the used car dealer and buying yourself a Scat Pack. Now, that sounds like a good thing, but unfortunately, as always, the price is gonna cost you just as much as going to the used car dealer and buying one too. Plus this one has a dirty title. So it's kind of a deceivingly nice car. There's really just not that much of an opportunity to get yourself a deal. So unless it slips through and goes for like 60, maybe 70% of retail, kind of just gotta leave it, right? I suppose while we're getting our steps in here, looking for anything that might tickle our fancy, it's probably the perfect time to announce that just yesterday, one of the cars from the LA auction video went up for bid. We won it. It's a builder, and it's on its way across the country right now. It's something you guys haven't seen on the channel before. It's something I haven't touched in a long time, and I'm pumped to do it. Pumped. So last time out at the salvage auction in LA, we came across what's far and away the nicest total BMW M3 I've ever seen. This one, it can't compete with that, but it's still worth a look, right? This is the older generation, the F80, I believe it is. And let's see what we got going on with it. Red interior, actually the whole car was red at some point. In the pictures online, it looked like it was wrapped matte black, but it's actually like a textured gunmetal. That's actually kind of cool. I dig that. We got a blown driver's airbag, a knee airbag, a curtain as well. The passenger stuff survived. Oh, got the carbon roof up here too. Hey, at least they had the sense not to wrap that. Let's see what's going on under the hood. Ooh, even Shuri intake. Now, admittedly, I don't know a ton about this generation's powertrain. I know the newer ones, the B58s, the S58s, all that stuff, they're great. I believe this is the S55. I know plenty of people have made a ton of power on them, but they don't seem to get quite the love that the newer ones do. Ooh, we got carbon ceramic brakes. That's slick. Gold calipers around back. Yep, looks good. Not really any damage. Aftermarket exhaust, titanium burnt look tips. So pretty much all the way around, this thing just looks nice, actually. Really, the only damage is this stuff here in the front. It looks like something kind of came across the front end of it. Being that the front bumper's still on it, it's going to be kind of hard to really get an idea what's going on back there. You can see that that bumper beam, the aluminum piece back there, it's up and it's smacked in. Actually, like it hit something square on right there. But that could have also came, I suppose, from this side getting shoved over and kinking it. If I do recall properly though, a lot of the oil coolers and whatnot are down low on these cars. So that's always trouble. If that got hit and the car remained running, that's obviously not a good thing for the health of the engine. Given all that, we're not gonna mess around with trying to start this thing, but just from a body damaged front, at least from what we can see, it doesn't look horrible. This upper support, that's in the right place. Even this frame, which tends to bend pretty easily in wrecks, that's pretty much fine. This carbon engine bay strut tower, if you want to call it that bar, that's fine. You see that crack sometimes. The headlight got a few broken tabs. I mean, not really the biggest deal in the world. If you want an M3 that's probably going to be an easy car to save, I think this is a good candidate. For me personally though, I still have my eye on that M3 CS out in LA. It hasn't got an auction run date yet, but when it does, I'm gonna give it a look. Here we are. Here we are. Now, I know, it just looks like an old Challenger SRT. It's not a Hellcat, it's not a Trackhawk, it's not a Durango. I would have scrolled right past this thing. It simply blends in if I didn't have my IAA auction page set to sort by most valuable. That's what raised the red, or I guess in this case, green flag. Insurance paid out $100,000 on a 2009 Challenger SRT8. That ain't right. It's obviously not right. So that's when we did a little bit of looking and saw that. Yeah, that's a 7-liter. These don't come with 7 liters. And that ain't it. It does get better, though. We're gonna have to get a little messy to check it out. Probably don't need to explain what this car fell victim to. It is flooded quite literally up to the roof. Oh, the smell in here is horrendous. Actually functional hood pins on this. It's a 10-step process, but we're there. She's also got a Magnuson blower sitting on top. Now, this is all I could see from the auction pictures, and frankly, it wasn't even a great picture, but we had to come check this out. So let's see. Let's see why this thing was insured for more than any Hellcat, any Trackhawk, really any modern Mopar except the Demon would be. There's a lot going on here. Now, I don't think we're gonna be able to confirm much about this engine just because we can't get a look inside of it, and I do think that if we did, we'd probably only see a lot of water. But we have an ATI 10% larger crank pulley down there. We've got the obvious Magnuson supercharger. We've got Arrington Performance 90mm throttle body, a little carbon fiber intake on it. Now, one thing that might give us a clue on a little bit of history on this car, I didn't notice it, or I couldn't make it out in the pictures, but it's got an aftermarket badge on the front bumper. It's got the same brand on the floor mats, the catch can. There's a lot of Petty's Garage badging on this car.
Turns out in 2009, Petty Motorsports made a limited run of what they called the Richard Petty Signature Series Challengers. From the information I could find, it looks like they were all fitted with superchargers just like this one. They had a few exterior upgrades, a custom interior as well, and while I was able to find a few of these cars that is sold on Bring a Trailer and similar sites, this particular one, it's a ghost. I can't find a single bit of information, not a picture, nothing.
Might as well, right? See how nasty this looks? Yikes. Yikes. There is moisture. Not moisture, there is straight water up to there. To there. That's... Well, that reminds me of the Demon. We know how that turns out. Let's see if I can get it in the hole there. There we go. Never a good sign. Whew. I mean, the interior is nasty. It's really hard to tell where the water actually got. It's clearly up over the dashboard, but it kind of looks like it cut off there. It didn't hit the headliner, which is not saying much. I do realize that. On the back, it really does just look like a normal SRT. You might pull up behind this thing and think, hey, it's got a Hirsch shifter in it and the guy put the badge on. It's got water in the taillights. This is a lot to make sense of. I've seen flood cars, I've seen burn cars, but when a car's burnt down to this level, there's nothing left. This, if it was sprayed off, could still be confused for a normal car, which is crazy. Which I do have to say, it's great that they didn't try to detail this thing. They didn't try to make this thing look like something that it's not. A lot of times, insurance companies, they might try that. Not this time. They're being honest, and that helps when you're trying to make an educated, albeit possibly stupid decision to buy something like this. I feel like an archaeologist. Unreal. I don't know that I've ever been more torn on a car than I am on this. I want to do something with it. It feels like this is a car that you should do something with, given how unique it is, given how special it is. But at the end of the day, it's also just a Challenger. Everything that makes it special has barnacles growing on it now. It's like the wet version of the OG Demon, but this one's actually worse because there's really nothing other than the body panels, the wheels, maybe the brakes that's going to be usable without major rebuilding. I guess ultimately, and this is the case for everything at salvage auction, right? It's going to come down to what it bids for. If it bids for what a SRT8 should, or even double that, cool. That seems like a great buy. It's a really unique car and you wouldn't have that much money into it. But if people get caught up on that $100,000 number and it starts going for $20,000 plus, well then our decision's real easy. You know, if it were a main channel video, we might cut this part out, but we're on the other channel today. We're checking out anything that looks cool. And for me, a regular cab truck dumped on big wheels, I love it. I think it's just the not knowing with these. Down in Texas, you see regular cab trucks like this, they're making 1,000 horsepower. You never know if it's gonna be that or if it's gonna be a complete bucket. Cut some audio equipment out of it, it looks like. Let's get down to business here. Well, that looks like a 6-cylinder to me, a very stock 6-cylinder. So nothing impressive under the hood, but I could argue that that might be a good thing. I'm gonna pitch you guys something here. I think it'd be a fun idea. A 6-cylinder means it should go cheap. What if we pick this thing up, we do a little rust repair, because to be fair, the bed is completely rotted out. There's some shiesty body work going on in there as well, but we leave it more or less how it is, do a fun engine in it, leave the 26s on it, and go to some of those donk races. I know it's out of left field from what I'm usually building, but I so badly want to do a donk at some point and try out big wheel racing. Maybe we do big wheel truck racing instead though. I don't know. This thing goes for a reasonably cheap number where you can get it and just kind of have some fun with it and not have too much money into it. I think it'd be fun to buy. I really do. Not what we came here for, but definitely one of the cooler cars we've ran into. Well, that'll do it. We were able to knock this one out pretty quick. It wasn't one of those massive lots like out in LA where it takes us 2 days to cover the whole thing. Now, I do have a confession. That Challenger's not the only reason we came to North Carolina. There is another car we're down here to look at today. We're gonna go check it out right now that is deserving of its own video, so it's not gonna be in this. Actually, it's deserving of a lot of videos if we're able to buy it. So keep your fingers crossed, and just know if you see me selling a lot of stuff, it's because we bought something and it's cool.